Good morning, everybody. This is our astrology weather forecast for the 5th of November 2025, and we have the full moon in Taurus today. So, this comes right on the heels of that very revolutionary opposition between Mars and Uranus, where we fight for our best interest, and sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on how mindful we are using our rebellious energy. Is it in service to us, really, or is it just in service to setting ourselves apart more mindlessly without really considering what we're fighting for? So that's going on at the same time that we have this peak in understanding values, what we want, what's important to us, physical safety, security needs. And this is a big epiphany regarding how we get what we want, how we secure resources, personal resources. It's Taurus stuff. And then we have the opposing energy of Scorpio, agendas. What's going on underneath in our effort to secure our piece of the pie? So have we personally, have we collectively taken shortcuts or tried to force something? Because either one of those, it just doesn't last. There will always be some kind of karma. There's some kind of piper that has to be paid that we don't want to pay. We didn't do the work ourselves. We didn't really do it. There was something, there was a tactic that was involved. See, if we're not being upfront when we deal with others, if we're not being honest, if we're not just being authentic, if we're not being straight, we'll always have to look over our shoulder. We'll always have something that we'll have to watch out for, that we'll have to double back for, that we'll have to worry about. You can't really ever relax, especially if you develop a relationship under a guise, or you try to seduce your way into it, or you just haven't been honest about who you are or what someone else is getting. You try to dress it up. You'll always have to do some kind of song and dance. And you will never, ever really get to relax, because when you do, that's when you have to be afraid that you'll be found out. And the purpose of a really healthy connection, social connections, romantic connections, family connections, friendship connections, is that you get to relax. You get to have peace. You get to be yourself. So if you are in something, if you're connected to something, if you're maintaining something that requires that constant vigilance to make sure that you're not found out, that's a massive waste of energy. That's energy that could have gone towards cooperation. It could have gone towards building something rather than building and maintaining a wall, a boundary. So you can't be in actual communion or cooperation when you're hedging and making sure that you aren't found out. You're involved with an enemy or a competitor in that situation. Because obviously, there's a belief that if you're yourself, if you're authentic, then that is going to cause trouble in the connection. That's going to destabilize or imbalance the connection because the connection is, it's not real. It's built on something that's meant to cover for insecurity. So we have a lot of epiphanies with this full moon regarding what are we doing underneath, or what are we involved in underneath, or discovering what's happening underneath in order to maintain the facade of security or permanence. So we can have some radical realignments because that's what oppositions can bring. These epiphanies and a werewolf moments, and we get to decide with what are you going to do with what it is that you see. And sometimes these werewolf moments can not result in a full repudiation of the past. Sometimes we just puke into our mouth a little bit and swallow it. When what we really, really needed to do is have a full-on ugly vomit episode. But that does potentially cause a lot of mess and destruction, because the truth can be very destructive. That's why we often don't want to have it out. It may be something that we whisper to ourselves, but we don't claim it loudly, because we'll have to rearrange a lot of things in order to really live that way. So if it's worth it to you, you'll do it. If it's worth it to you to get to live where you don't have to watch out, you can just feel safe because you're safe. You're safe with yourself. You know you're not going to do anything or allow anything into your life that isn't real or authentic. And if you're dealing with things that are real or authentic, you have to be that in kind, or else you have to bring that real or authentic thing down to your level in order to feel safe. You have to destroy it. You have to soil it in order to know you're not going to lose it. So we could do that, or we could up level and decide that, if we want better, we are going to have to be better. We're going to have to do better. We're going to have to match that thing rather than bring it down to where we are. So we can then feel falsely good about ourselves. It doesn't last because we'll have to crush that other thing and destroy its spirit, or eventually it's going to get our number. And it'll escape our grasp. Either way, short-term tactics lead to short-term gains. part of this opposition between the sun and the moon. Taurus is steady. It's acquiring a bit at a time, putting the foundation in place. And it's the little pig who built the brick house. And we have to look at our tendencies to build things out of straw or out of cardboard with the expectation that it's going to keep us safe. But it can only until the big bad wolf reveals himself. And all it takes is just a little bit of wind. Just a little bit of conflict. A little bit of instability. And that house of cards will come down. So we have some epiphanies here that can lead us to construct some things, build some things that are really quite stable and long-lasting. And that does take longer, it takes more effort. We have to be real about our gains. And this particular cycle is also likely to put a big pin in financial bubbles that have been building for quite a while. So there's a few reasons to feel like we need to take stock of what it is that we have and what we can realistically, through our own efforts, gain. And also understand that if we've put in to a system, to a relationship, if we've invested in something, we do have a right. We do have a reason to expect that we'll get what it is that we expected to get out of it. We're recognizing where we have been investing in black holes. And you have a right to call people, systems on the carpet when they don't deliver what it is that they promised. And we ourselves have to realize when we've been putting into and investing in things that we know aren't a good idea, or maybe insolvent, or they're pie in the sky, there's a balance here that has to be achieved between demanding that we get out what we deserve and realizing that you can't invest in things or put into things with an assumption that it's gonna work or it's gonna be a good thing if all the signs are pointing elsewhere. So, responsibility when it comes to investing and receiving. All right. I hope you guys have a good day.